The ultimatum and exodus. Ambassador Elena Reyes stood frozen as the Galactic Council's verdict echoed through the massive chamber. Representatives from over 40 alien species watched from their tiered seating. Their expressions, those she could read, ranging from smug satisfaction to genuine sorrow. The decision is final, announced Grand Arbiter Exile, the ancient Myrthan whose crystalline body shimmered under the chamber's lights. Humanity is hereby exiled from all Council territories. You have one standard cycle to remove all human presence from Council space. One standard cycle, just under 4 Earth years to evacuate 17 colony worlds with a total population of nearly 3 billion humans. On what grounds? Elena demanded, her voice steady despite the shock. Her diplomatic uniform felt suddenly tight around her throat. Zinxal's faceted eyes rotated slowly. Your species advances too rapidly. You adapt too quickly. You question too freely. The Council has observed humanity for 90 years and finds your kind destabilizing. Destabilizing is not a crime, Elena countered. Councillor Talaxu, a gaseous being contained in an ornate mechanical suit, floated forward. Your technological advancement threatens cosmic balance. Your cultural influence disrupts established hierarchies. Your military capabilities exceed acceptable parameters. Elena knew arguing was pointless. She could see from the dismissive gestures and turned backs that this decision had been made long before today's hearing. As the chamber began to empty, a slender, 6-limbed alien approached her. Ambassador Reyes, whispered Elder Kaleem of the Vexari. This decision was not unanimous. Some of us fought against it. Will anyone help us? Elena asked. Kaleem's compound eyes darkened. Officially, none can. But there are regions beyond Council space where their influence wanes. The fringe sectors. You're telling us to go into uncharted space. I am telling you that in darkness, one may grow unseen, Kaleem said, slipping away as Council guards approached. The journey back to Earth was a blur. When Elena delivered the news to the United Earth Government's emergency session, stunned silence gave way to outrage, then fear, and finally, determination. President Maya Castillo stood at the podium, her face grim but resolute. At 58, she had guided humanity through first contact and the early years of interstellar relations. Now she would lead them through exile. Today, the Galactic Council believes they have sentenced humanity to obscurity and decline, she said, her voice carrying through the hall. They have given us 4 years to abandon our colonies, our stations, everything we've built among the stars. She paused, eyes sweeping the assembly. They expect us to retreat to Earth, to become less than what we are. But they have miscalculated. What they've actually done is set us free. A murmur ran through the crowd. Without their restrictions, their endless regulations, their technological embargoes, humanity will build something greater than the Council could ever imagine. Her voice rose. They fear our potential. We will show them they were right to fear it. Elena felt a chill run down her spine, not from fear, but from a fierce sense of possibility. Operation Exodus began immediately. The massive evacuation would require every ship humanity possessed, and hundreds more that were rapidly constructed. But President Castillo had authorized a second, classified mission, Operation Shadowfall. Admiral James Chen, head of Shadowfall, gathered a team of Earth's best scientists, engineers, and military strategists. We're not just evacuating, he told them in a secure facility beneath the Himalayas. We're strategically relocating. Every colony, every outpost we establish outside Council space will be part of a larger plan. Dr. Sofia Novak, Earth's leading physicist, presented the cornerstones of the plan. Council technology is standardized across all member species. They've been developing along the same technological pathways for millennia. But humans have always thought differently. She displayed a hologram showing alternative technological pathways. These are avenues of research the Council has either abandoned or never explored. While we publicly comply with the Exile, we'll be developing technologies they can't even conceive of. The evacuation of human colonies proceeded under constant council supervision. Their ships hovered at the edge of every human system, watching the desperate retreat. What they didn't see were the encrypted communications, the essential personnel and equipment discreetly routed to secret destinations, the strategic resource harvesting conducted under the guise of hurried evacuation. 5 months before the deadline, the colony ship Horizon made a remarkable discovery while searching for habitable worlds in the fringe sectors. Captain Malik Torres and his survey team found the ruins of an ancient civilization on a planet they named Pantheon. These structures predate the Council by millennia, reported Dr. Eliza Way, the expedition's xenorchaeologist, and the technology. It's unlike anything in Council records. Within the ruins, they discovered data cores containing scientific knowledge from a civilization that had developed along entirely different lines than the Council races. President Castillo immediately classified the discovery and dedicated a third of Earth's scientific community to deciphering the alien data. By the time the last human outpost in Council space was evacuated, just days before the deadline, humanity had already established 15 new colonies in the fringe sectors. Unlike the open, announced colonies of the past, these settlements were camouflage, built into asteroids, hidden in gas giant clouds, or buried beneath planetary surfaces. The Aquila, Earth's most advanced stealth vessel, made first contact with the Nyx Collective, a loose alliance of species who had either been rejected by the Council or had never sought membership. The Nyx operated in the shadows of Council space, trading, exploring, and developing without restriction. Ambassador Elena Reyes, now head of diplomatic relations with non-Council species, met with the Nyx leadership on their hidden trading station, Umbra Point. "We have watched your exodus with interest," said Kavosh, a reptilian Syraxian whose people had been denied Council membership centuries earlier for their aggressive resource acquisition methods. "The Council fears what it cannot control," added Nexus, a hive mind species composed of microscopic organisms that formed humanoid shapes. They exile those with potential to surpass them. Elena proposed an alliance. Human innovation and determination combined with Nyx knowledge of the regions beyond Council space. The partnership was sealed that day, marking the beginning of what would eventually be called the Shadow Accord. 10 years after Exile, humanity had established 37 hidden colonies spread across 22 star systems. Using technology derived from both their own research and the Pantheon ruins, humans developed stealth systems that rendered their settlements invisible to Council scanning methods. Dr. Novak's team made the breakthrough that would change everything: quantum phase technology. Unlike the standard faster-than-light methods used by Council races, which created tunnels through space, quantum phase temporarily shifted ships into an adjacent dimension where distances were compressed. With this, Dr. Novak explained to the United Earth Government Security Council, "We can travel between any points in the galaxy in days rather than weeks or months. More importantly, we can bypass all Council monitoring systems." The first quantum phase ships were deployed under strict secrecy. They established a hidden network of transit points throughout and beyond Council space, allowing humanity to move resources, people, and information undetected. Operation Shadowfall had succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. Humanity had not merely survived exile. They had used it as an opportunity to build a hidden empire that stretched throughout and beyond Council territory. An empire waiting for the right moment to emerge from the shadows. The Shadow Empire rises. 20 years after the exile, New Terra had become the flourishing heart of humanity's Shadow Empire. Built within a massive asteroid in the Eridanus cluster, the settlement was home to 10 million humans. Unlike the regulated, standardized cities of Council worlds, New Terra was a marvel of innovative architecture and engineering. Admiral Elena Rice, promoted from ambassador years earlier, stood on the observation deck overlooking the asteroid's hollow interior. Massive habitat structures clung to the inner surface, connected by a web of transport tubes. At the center, a miniature sun, one of Dr. Novak's innovations, provided light and energy. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" asked President Darius Kim, joining her at the railing. At 42, he was the first president born after first contact, elected to lead the United Earth government in exile. "More than beautiful," Elena replied. "It's proof of what we can accomplish without council restrictions." "The latest reports from our intelligence network have arrived," Darius said, his expression growing serious. "The council is facing multiple crises." This wasn't surprising. Over the past decade, humanity's shadow network had observed the council's slow decline. Without human innovation to incorporate and regulate, their technological advancement had stagnated. Several member species had begun challenging the dominant powers, causing political fractures. "The Nexus drive is ready for full deployment," Darius continued, referring to the latest evolution of the quantum phase technology. Dr. Novak's team has successfully incorporated elements of Pantheon tech. The Nexus drive represented a quantum leap beyond even the revolutionary quantum phase system. It allowed instantaneous travel between any 2 points in the galaxy without the need for transit stations. More importantly, it could transport not just ships but entire settlements. Humanity now controlled a network of 72 major colonies and hundreds of smaller outposts, all connected by technology that made the Council's fastest ships seem like primitive sailboats. The Shadow Accord had grown to include 17 non-Council species, forming an alternative power structure that operated entirely beneath the Council's notice. Meanwhile, in Council space, an existential crisis was developing. A species known as the Void Harbingers had emerged from an unexplored region of the galaxy. Unlike any known life form, they consumed energy at its most fundamental level, leaving dead stars and barren planets in their wake. Council military forces had proven ineffective against this threat. Their standardized weapons and tactics, unchanged for centuries, made no impact on the Harbingers. System after system fell, with billions of lives lost. In a desperate move, the Council reached out to the Nyx Collective, seeking any alternative technologies that might help. The Nyx, acting as intermediaries, contacted humanity. "They don't know it's us they're asking for help," said Admiral James Chen during the Emergency Security Council meeting. Now in his 70s, he had supervised the development of humanity's shadow military. "They think they're dealing with a mysterious technological provider through the Nyx." "What exactly are they requesting?" asked President Kim. "Defense systems against the Harbingers," replied Dr. Sophia Novak. "Based on our observations, we believe our quantum resonance weapons would be effective. The Harbingers exist partially in the same adjacent dimension our ships transit through. We can attack them where they're vulnerable." Elena leaned forward. "This is the opportunity we've been waiting for. We can negotiate our return from a position of strength." The debate was intense. Some argued for letting the Council face destruction, revenge for the exile that had forced humanity to rebuild from scratch. Others saw a moral obligation to help save innocent lives. Ultimately, pragmatism won out. A weakened but grateful Council would be more valuable than no Council at all. Through Nyx intermediaries, humanity provided prototype defense systems to the Council. These weapons, deliberately limited versions of human technology, proved effective against the Harbingers. As Council worlds were saved one by one, the mysterious benefactor's price became clear: the unconditional return of humanity to Council space. Grand Arbiter Exile, one of the few remaining Council leaders from the time of the exile, was forced to call for a vote. The result was unanimous. Humanity would be welcomed back, all previous restrictions lifted. What the Council didn't realize was the extent of human development during their exile. They expected a grateful, humbled species returning from the galactic wilderness. What they would encounter was a technological superpower with resources and capabilities beyond their comprehension. When the day came for humanity's official return, President Kim chose Ambassador Marcus Chen, Admiral Chen's grandson, to represent Earth. The young diplomat arrived at the Council's central world, not in a simple shuttle but aboard the Ascendant, a ship that dwarfed the largest Council vessel. As Marcus entered the Council chamber, the same one where humanity had been exiled 2 decades earlier. He noted the anxious expressions of the assembled representatives. Many species that had once looked down on humans now watched with a mixture of fear and awe. Humanity accepts the Council's invitation to return, Marcus announced, his voice carrying through the silent chamber. But not as supplicants. We return as equals, with much to offer, but also with conditions. He activated a holographic display showing the true extent of human territory, not just the publicly established colonies in the fringe sectors, but the entire shadow network that stretched throughout and beyond Council space. For 20 years, we have lived alongside you, unseen, Marcus continued as gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. We have built a civilization that spans the galaxy. We have developed technologies you cannot imagine. We have formed alliances with species both within and beyond your borders. Grand Arbiter Zinxal's crystalline form darkened with emotion. You have violated Council territory. We have violated nothing, Marcus replied calmly. We simply found paths you never thought to explore. Now we offer partnership, not submission. Together, we can create a new galactic order that benefits all species, not just the oldest or most powerful. The terms humanity offered were simple but revolutionary. A complete restructuring of the Council to give equal voice to all species, regardless of their technological development or length of membership. Free exchange of technologies with reasonable safety protocols, and open exploration throughout the galaxy. The old Council is dying, Marcus concluded. You can evolve, or you can fade into irrelevance. Humanity and our allies in the Shadow Accord will proceed either way. In the end, the Council had no choice but to accept. The Harbinger crisis had weakened them too severely, and humanity's demonstrated technological superiority left no room for negotiation. As Marcus left the chamber, Elder Kaleem, now ancient even by Vexari standards, approached him. Your people have accomplished what many thought impossible, the six-limbed alien whispered. You turned exile into triumph. We had help, Marcus acknowledged, including from friends within the Council. Perhaps exile was the greatest gift the Council ever gave humanity, Kaleem observed. Without our restrictions, you were forced to find your own path. Marcus smiled. A path that has brought us back stronger than ever. In the decades that followed, the galaxy transformed. The rigid, hierarchical structure of the old Council gave way to a more dynamic, collaborative alliance. Species that had been marginalized found new opportunities. Technological advancement accelerated as different approaches were shared and combined. And humanity, once exiled to the shadows, now stood in the light, not as conquerors but as innovators, explorers, and bridge builders between worlds. The species that had been deemed too unpredictable, too adaptive, too questioning had become the catalyst for a new golden age. The exile that was meant to contain humanity had instead unleashed its greatest potential, proving once again that humans thrive most when facing their greatest challenges.